Hey, good morning. BioIntegrity Chris here. I'm at my mother's house in Dripping Springs, Texas. And I want to take you, once I get my hand steady here, it's about 35 degrees outside. I'm panting because I just ran up this path. Tried to shoot the video and turned it off halfway down the path. This is an arid ecosystem, mostly pine needle trees, cedar trees. We haven't had rain for days and days and days. It's starting to come in. But I wanted to take you on this informal walk around her property. I've been building these soft paths that are also berms. And to show you how I'm implementing these biointegrity and biointegrity science and permaculture drought reversal techniques to make her property a self-regenerating drought reversal and moisture oasis. It's already happening. I mean, this stuff has only been here for a few weeks and it's become easily walkable now. It's rocky out here. The soil is often, at best a 1/4 inch deep. And the pathway, or rather the lot, is real steep. It's just maybe hard to show. But her house, I just, came 30 feet or so. Her house is up on the hill on top. So getting around, she's 84, is harder. And you'll see in the longer form of the video that I put in these soft paths I'm walking on right now to make it really easy for her to get around, but it's also flood and fire prevention for her. The best that the insurance company could advise was for her to cut down all the trees 30 to 50 feet around the house. And we know that that's not going to happen, and it's not realistic. Her house is a log cabin. And like in Bastrop in 2011, we saw fire leap over highway medians to the other side of the road. And, fire can jump in the California fires that I observed after 2016, 2017, and 2018, fire could leap, hundreds of feet. So what you have to do to fight fire is increase moisture containment, moisture capture on your property, and that enhances flood reversal. But it also creates, this is all the moisture battery concept that BioIntegrity talks about, which is basically a permaculture concept. And what happens is you end up with a more enjoyable life. I call this walkway the loop of love. There's a recharge that you get just coming through this space that everybody wants, regardless of wealth or status. And I think this is biophysical recharge. That was the loop of love. Really simple and easy and extremely inexpensive. I've done all this for under $400. So again, this is and was a very arid environment, a no soil environment. So I put berms on the slope, and I built those berms with living soil to retain moisture, and then added a couple of different types of mulch to help contain the moisture once it got into the living soil. The living soil wants to hold on to the moisture for as long as possible. I'm going to walk over here now to the septic field, this rural property, which is also part of the longer video you'll see after this 5-minute intro. And then we've used pine straw, that's what's in this field also, to capture the moisture. And the pine straw is phenomenal. The pine straw, you can kind of see in that. The pine straw is brilliant at holding this moisture, even when it's 35 degrees outside and there hasn't been a single drop of rain. It pulls it out of the air, and you'll see better pictures of that in the long form video. Anybody can install pine straw. It's literally just kind of putting a blanket on top of the soil with the pine straw. And in the longer video, you'll see the integration of the soft paths and how it's made this living soil and mulch and pine straw combination. How it's made with those elements. And this has then also had the simple bark chips added up there. The end of the loop of love, which will finish the video up there. I'll go back up there again. But, you know, bark chips are under $3 a bag at a major retailer. And pine straw is about 25 bucks a bushel from our friend John Dromgoole. And these pine bark bits are incredibly helpful for any age person because they mold to the shape and they mold under your foot. So you can walk steep paths. Still not good with the camera. But you can walk uphill steep paths and you can fill inclines in a matter of seconds. And so what I'm getting at is all of the materials here are organic. There's nothing plastic or manufactured. All these things biodegrade into enhancing the life benefits. I guess I shouldn't sit in front of the rainwater tank to talk about non-plastic, but all these things will biodegrade to enhance the moisture retention capacity on site, the life enhancement capacity. Also going to show in the video moisture blanket, which is just pine straw around the root, the base of the tree's trunk. And this idea of forest bath it's a real thing, you know, and it's very kind of obvious when you have one in your backyard what's going on. It's more moisture in the air and more oxygen in the air. And so that little bit of movement through that space, it doesn't matter what mood you're in. You come out of it in a better way. And I think this calm and refreshed feeling is what everyone wants. So all we have to do to create this future for ourselves is be the nurturers instead of the destroyers. And so the next piece of this video will be an even less scripted just walk I took yesterday morning when the light was really good. And then there'll be some wrap up, big picture idea that'll be a few seconds on how I see all this working to build a brighter future for everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful, and get started on your drought reversal. Okay, and yes, this place is gorgeous. That's my car, especially in the morning. And this is their rainwater tank my dad had installed in about 1990. I just want to emphasize, though, this beauty that you're seeing. My dad was a minister, a career minister, and my mother, this is the garage. My mother was a school teacher and a principal, and they bought this house for something like this land and had this house built for something like $150,000 in 1990. And then I have recently, because my mother's 84, taken to try and make the property easier to walk on and more drought reversing, not just drought tolerant. But I have been implementing moisture battery and kind of discovered yesterday a new thing I would call moisture blanket. These are permaculture concepts that or techniques that of course come from indigenous peoples that I am relanguaging. Essentially what I've done here, this was a no soil part of the yard. So this is about as deep as it got, maybe an inch. And not much life in that soil, real dry and sandy. And I went and got lots of compost and other mixtures and started creating these berms to capture water as it comes down the slope. And I've also built a couple of different types of soft paths. So here's the first big berm. I don't know if it shows up well on the camera. But then the pathway is now a couple of inches thick with this pine straw on top. And I've invested pretty well in pine straw. It is the best moisture retainer I've yet seen for building up the moisture battery. You just throw this pine straw on top, which I get from the Natural Gardener in Austin, John Dromkuhl's place, and it is incredible. Every morning it's moist out here, kind of regardless of how cold. There's just a little bit of moisture in the air. We've got this now living system, and so there's interesting things happening, like where the life is starting to spread up here between the patches. And then I go out here into her field. This is the septic field. It's about 1.25 acres, this property, towards Dripping Springs. And this used to just be barren, like, you know, this kind of gray colorization you see over here, where I haven't put any pine straw. Lots of leaf matter, but not much soil, so it just didn't have the ability to retain moisture. And if you really go down another layer in here in the property, we're in like rock, and that surface is really what was here. Now, I don't want to change the integrity of the system. I just want to increase its ability to host local life. And so here we haven't added any compost or anything. We've just put the pine straw on top of what was naturally here. And you see instantly, like, going into greener, happier times. There's more moisture retention, and the life is coming on. And so now we're cooler and more flood tolerant, vibrant, and able to kind of start creating somewhat of a moisture cloud over this property. It's really amazing, the changes I've seen. And I've got all this junky stuff out here right now because I'm trying to keep the deer away. It'll get prettier. But the moisture battery concept, the permaculture concepts, I planted this sapling in 2015 and then had to move away. And through simple investment in the moisture battery around the tree and protecting it from being eaten by the deer, it's matured nicely. It may not look like it at the moment, but this one is closer to the septic field drainage, and it's nearly 6 feet tall, same age. And of course they don't have leaves on them right now because it's winter, everybody. Don't cut trees that don't have leaves in the winter. They're not supposed to. One other thing, I mentioned moisture blanket a second ago, or a few moments ago. This is what I mean. I'm now taking the pine straw, and for the deciduous trees on this property, this is one of the oaks, I'm starting to put it around the base of the trunk. I will explain more about that in future videos, but you can think of the trunk of a tree like the trunk of your body in terms of its vascular kind of functionality. And you can think of the kind of blanket a tree needs as a light cover that is, you know, the right cover, kind of like what your body needs, what makes you feel best. Snug as a bug in a rug, but not too over insulated, is the idea for tree mulch. Now here's a third, well, I didn't explain the middle mulch, that doesn't matter. So here's the second mulch, and this is actually bark, a different type of soft path. And this is the last thing I'll show. I've spent, bark chips are not expensive, so I don't remember. I think it's way under $200. 15 bags, 20 bags, something like that. And created this other walkway underneath her, or through her kind of slopey yard. Terraced it with just old pieces of garden fence and things like that, these wooden columns, and creating more moisture retention with these little berms, and then putting the bark chips in the berm until it basically flattens out, and my 84-year-old mother can walk easily along the whole path and back up the hill over this hose and back up to the garage, the main house. And what's great about it is it's it takes form under your foot. But again, we're creating moisture retention on the property. And so I'm noticing this vibrant color, especially in the deciduous leaves, on this property relative to every other one around here across the street. There's lots of beautiful trees and not much disturbance, but how do I turn this around? Not much disturbance, but the coloration in the leaves is not as bright, and the leaves are not as shiny on their deciduous trees as in this yard. And we've invested total like $500 or $900 at the most doing these simple things. And she's got some land here. It's 1.5 acres. But this was not an expensive house when she got it, not expensive property. Now that it's close to Austin and all that stuff, it's valued over $1 million last year. But in reality, we are working with the resources here on site to create an oasis, a moisture oasis. The moisture blanket idea around the base of the trunks of these trees, the different soft paths, and then these several types of mulch. We showed the bark chips here that are just so great, and the berming and the pine straw as the other type of mulch. Got a little slice of heaven, and it's only going to get better even as the weather continues to be a challenge and probably intensifies in rainfall and drought and temperature spikes. So I encourage you guys to start thinking about how you can do this wherever you are, whatever you got. Start building up your moisture battery and letting your vegetation go wild. And lastly, the whole reason I wanted to do this is that when you move through this vegetation here on her property now, you do get the moisture bath, or rather the forest bath that folks talk about. It's just this path in particular, and where we started, it's just, you move through like a little condensation in the air, a little transpiration happening between these living beings. They grasp the moisture in the soil, they grasp it in the vegetation, and they pass it around as long as they can, just like humans drinking water out of city plumbing. It's the system of water distribution amongst living things in the outdoors. And so when you move through this space and the one I was just in, it doesn't matter how tired you are or what mood you're in, you are refreshed. And that's what I want for everybody. Some clarity, some peace, some biodiversity, and some good energy. All right, so thanks for watching this thing. Again, I hope it's helpful. Just want to wrap up by saying, what my mother gains from this is recreation and beauty and safety and calm and exercise and relationships with these other creatures. It's just a gorgeous morning out here. And there are lots of birds moving in, trying to bring the deer back. We're also sequestering carbon and reversing drought in the short and long term and cooling the area. And we're helping the whole area. There'll be more on that in the future. But we're increasing moisture circulation on this site significantly just by doing this drought retention, or this moisture retention organic material stuff that makes the property more enjoyable and still wild. So we're creating biodiversity habitat by making drought and extreme weather tolerance easier for the plants and soils on this natural land. We want to encourage the native life to thrive. And wherever you are, you'll have a different site and scale and starting point, but these principles of drought reversal through permaculture landscaping and biosphere science and caring more and enjoying more the other life that's around you, whether it's indoors or out, these are the foundation that we can work from to build a brighter future for all. Thanks for watching.